What is going on, family? What is going on? It's your boy Marcus Washington. You're on the mark where we talk everything Falcons football. Oh, some interesting things have popped up today. This is the week of the NFL Combine. Both Raheem Morris as well as Terry Fontenot were down there. So, and both actually did interviews. So we're going to take a look at both interviews. This is probably going to be a longer stream because one of these, I think Raheem Morris's interview was 28 minutes by itself. And I want to show 3 videos. Now, y'all know I haven't watched any of this stuff yet, so it'll be new to me, as it may be to you or not. Also, a couple of things concerning the salary cap. Last time we were on here, there were a couple things that have changed since. So currently, our cap space stood at like 41, a little under 42,000, 42 million. 42,000. The hell am I talking about? 42 million. Sorry. But then today it was announced that Jonnu Smith was no longer with the Atlanta Falcons. We released him. Now releasing him, we have a dead money hit of 2.5, but it saved us 6.5 million against the cap. Then I was like, well, Michael Pruitt, and then Michael Pruitt, I think, is an unrestricted free agent as well. So yeah, this kind of indicates the Falcons are about to pay somebody. Now, mind you, guys like Nate Landman is nothing's been really said about him, but I think they'll go ahead and take care of him. Let me go look at this real quick. Yeah, no new news, but I'm pretty sure they're going to pay him. But I think this is an indicator of they're going to go get a veteran QB. This kind of, I don't want to say it eliminates Russell Wilson completely because, again, he's still under contract with the Denver Broncos, but I do know there are other teams that are taking a look at him as well. To me, this might be a little indicator that they're going after a quarterback or a wide receiver, because you do have some wide receivers that will hit the market. Some are already on the market that are high caliber guys. So, this may be an indicator that they're going to go get a wide receiver or a quarterback, maybe both. But getting rid of Jonnu Smith, Jonnu Smith had a pretty solid year. But like I said, about a week or 2 weeks ago, man, I plan on Kyle Pitts having a monster year this season. So maybe that's what they're kind of taking a look at. Like, we don't really need Jonnu Smith because, Kyle Pitts didn't really get the quarterback that he needed, the looks that he needed. Then you add to the fact there was, reports out there that he was more injured than they let off this season. But the next person, I'm like this, man. If y'all let go of Jonnu, why is Heineke still here? But I feel like they're gonna make a big move. Like I've said earlier, man, in past videos, I would not, if I was the front office, I'm not moving up to get a quarterback. And then you have to start from scratch with that quarterback because, even with Caleb and, these other guys, they're still rookies when they come into this league. So do you want to Do you want to gamble that Chicago's looking more and more likely that they're going to keep their first and go for a quarterback, and the writing's probably on the wall over there. So we'll see. But what I'm gonna do, because these videos are relatively long, I'm gonna just go ahead and just dive into Raheem Morris's press conference at the NFL Combine. Let me get to a couple of these comments before we get in. Um, Carlo says, "What's happening? What's going on, fam?" Tremaine says, "Talk to me, Mark. Trade up for Fields. I'm not trading up. Um, I'm not doing that. If I'm trading up, it's not going to be for a quarterback. It's just not. Um, and some people think I'm crazy for saying that, and that's absolutely cool. I'm gonna get my quarterback through free agency, and if I trade up, it's going to get Marvin Harrison Jr. Nobody else. But we'll see. We'll see. Charles says, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the Falcons quarterback situation. Okay, I got you. Alejandro says, what's good, Mark? Very happy to catch you live. Well, I'm happy for you to be here, man. What's going on, Q? He says, what's up, Mark? Break it down, bro. I'm going to break it down. What's going on, Monica? She says, catch me up. I've been busy all day. Well, outside of the combine, I think the combine started yesterday, if I'm not mistaken. And we released, cut Jonnu Smith today. And that's pretty much all I know at this point. But, anything else can happen. Q says Michael is like 32, though. So they're going to let him walk as well. Yeah, I agree with that. Because he's unrestricted right now, and I ain't heard nothing with Michael Pro. And to be honest, if you're gonna cut Jonnu, why are you keeping Michael? Keona says, "What's up, my brother? What's happening?" Anthony says they're gonna completely remake the quarterback and wide receiver room. I agree with that 100%. Q also says, Kyle's going to have to step up as a total package, though. I believe he will. He also says, and we're going to need a receiver for sure. This is going to be good to see. I think they're going to cover those two areas. We talked about during the season, the two positions that needed to be addressed immediately was the quarterback and a wide receiver on the other side of Drake London. We talked about that. So it looks this way, like they're going to shore that up. Anthony says Heineke is going to follow him out the door. Yeah, I got a feeling that might happen. Not sure though. Bryce, what's happening? He says, "What's up, Marcus? Been a while since I caught you live, bruh. How we really feel about this QB situation? Because until they figure that out, my faith is low." I think they have an idea of where they're going to go with the quarterback. There's no way in hell I think you hire Raheem Morris and there is no clear-cut path on what we're doing at quarterback when the quarterback play was so abysmal this year. So I think they're being quiet on that, but we'll find out. Time will eventually tell the tale. What's going on, Sean? He says, "What's good, Mark?" Let's see. Country says, "Greetings, Marcus. Are we getting Justin and Kirk?" Well, I did a whole video on my proposal, so I wouldn't be mad at either one, but I just don't want to give up draft capital, so I would go Kirk. Bryce says, "Man, we need a quarterback. Don't want Russell or Cousins, and Ritter ain't it." All righty. So let's see. Let's go ahead and dive into this video. Appreciate everybody in the comment section. And while this video is playing, if you got anything that you want to comment on, feel free. I'll put it on the screen. But let's get to it. Let me turn my music down. Oh shoot, I'm somewhere else with it over here. Okay, let me turn my music down so we can get into this. So I'm gonna play it, and I need you guys to let me know if you can hear it loud and clear when I start playing it.
Yes. What's the value you look for in players off the field? I'm so sorry. What's the value you look for in players off the field? We talk about the value of the players off the field within our Falcon ethos. And a big part of that for our guys is bringing the right guys into our program for leadership, for all of those type of things. And that's a big part of who we are, right? We want to have innovative people around us. We want to have the right people around us. We want to have good people within our building. And bringing those kind of guys are like non-negotiable for us, right? If we do have concerns, we'll be able to fill people around people that we want to strategically bring into our building in order to make sure we can get people around those guys that can help them whatever they lack when we talk about our ethos and how we go about our plan. But that's number one on the people on how you want to bring them into your building. I am so sorry. You're talking so low right now. What advice would you give to a kid looking to get where you're at today? What advice would I give to a kid looking to get where I'm at today? Just work really extremely hard, right? Learn from your mistakes, continuously grow throughout the process and whatever you're doing. Uh, I think those are some of the major things that allowed me to be back in this position to talk to you guys right now. Yes. I think it's grown just throughout the process, just the different buildings that you go in. When you have the ability to be around different prospects and different situations and different leadership groups, from being with Dan Quinn, from being with Jay Gruden, from being with Mike Shanahan, or even just our last tenure at the Rams. I think that was a major part of how we developed and how we want to bring people in. You want to bring the right people in. You want to take the right calculated risk on people. What are you taking those calculated risks for? Are you prepared to handle those things? All of those things come into play. And I think that's been a major part of growth and development for me. And really, along with our whole league, it's just been a major part of it because of how we go about our business and how we structure our daily day and how we move forward. You know, obviously, when you talk about this, I won't bring up names because I'm not going to tell Rick anything that.
Let me pause it for a second. I always have an issue. Y'all know this chaps my ass. The Falcons finally got this taken care of when they did press conferences. I have a major issue with the fact that we can't hear the damn questions. They don't have mics available. This is a $1 billion industry. And they don't have mics available for the reporters to ask. He can't even hear the questions and he's there. So just a side note, that chaps my ass when I watch stuff like this.
I want to give him because he'll let all you guys know. But when you go into the process, you have everything open, right? We got so many avenues right now because we have free agency money. We have the ability to trade, whether it be trading for a player or another team, or whether it be trading up or back in the draft. It's just really about having the different scenarios that you want to have when you're talking about the quarterback position. You got option A, you got option B, you got option C, you got option D. And this year, there are a bunch of different options out there that you got to put through. And it's why I've surrounded myself with 19 quarterback coaches on my staff, right? When you're talking about Zach Robinson, you're talking about TJ Yates, you're talking about getting a veteran presence of Ken Zampese, you're talking about being around a young presence of DJ Williams, you're talking about being around KJ Black, Chandler Whitmire, and different guys in that position, right? Whether you're talking about Jimmy Lake from working with offense last year with Matthew Stafford and being around those type of people, right? You want to have different opinions to allow the decision makers to make the proper decisions at the time when that comes up. And that's been a doozy for us. It's been fun for us to go through. I mean, it's been difficult throughout the years, right? We
Let me pause this for a second. Atlanta Dog, I'm gonna get to this one. I'm gonna get to this will be the last one I touch on because that was the third video I was talking about. I think she interviewed, if I'm not mistaken, both. Tori just be in the mix, man. But yeah, so he talks about having 19 guys with quarterback coach experience. Some people might read into that and say, well, maybe they're going to stick with Ritter. That's a no. That's just not happening. Or they could go up in the draft and they could get a quarterback because you've got all this experience, at the quarterback position to coach up, um, a rookie QB. I would say I still think they're going to go with a quarterback. They're just not going to trade up for it. I think that would be paramount for a rookie coming in, sitting on the bench. But neither here nor there. Let's continue.
We all evaluated Tom Brady wrong when we drafted him in the 6th round. And he's turned out to be one of the best players, if not the best quarterback in the National Football League has ever seen. So it has continuously to been an issue for everybody, right? But you got to have your profile set up and what you look for. You got to have your processor ready to go. You want the guy to have the intangibles, be smart and a gamer and be a player. We know those things. And then you go out and you try to find those guys and who's displayed it at the best level and try to make those picks. And it's just hard. It's a hard position to evaluate. That's just what it is, right? It's arguably the hardest position in sports and what we know. And that's just how it's been, Mike. Thank you. Bijan is special. And when you think about that young man, and we talked about ethos earlier, he defines it and who he is and the character of the human and what he's done. And you got to give credit to the people that were here before us and what they brought into this building that I've been able to acquire right now. And Bijan is one of those special talents who can be a special player for a long time in this league and doing things the right way, going about his teammates, caring about his teammates, being the person that you want to be around. I think those things are very important for all of us. And the sky's the limit for a guy like Bijan. I don't want to set any limitations or set any goals for him. I know he's already come out and set some of his own personal goals, but for us, everybody included, it's going to be about winning. And you got to go out there and win football games. And I think what he can help us do. So many things. Dan Quinn, it was so important into developing people. He was so important in developing his players. He was so important in developing his coaches. And I think all the things that he's given me and talked about with me are just some of the special moments and the special things that's helped me get to this point again. He was instrumental in myself becoming the coordinator at the Rams and being able to have success there. He was instrumental in being able to talk to different people at different wakes of life and different walks of life about how prepared and how ready I was. It was great to be able to be a part of it with him, to be able to learn some from the ups, be able to learn some from the downs, and to be able to go through that process with him. I was fortunate enough to take over for him as the interim head coach at one point. And I think that whole process for me was awesome because some of the things were tightly aligned, and to be able to grow moving forward, I thought was just awesome. So learned so many lessons from Dan Quinn. I don't know if I can talk about it in this podium stance right now. That is, it's amazing. And it's great to have him get another opportunity as well. It's so crazy, when you think about it, right? I just think about not only Cal Shanahan,
Appreciate
but
it, Dex.
what he's
Appreciate it.
done as a head coach and us working together from Tampa days to the Washington days to him trying to continuously for us to work together at some point because of what he's done in this league from an offensive play caller standpoint and how important that is and how well he's done as a head coach, getting his team to 2 Super Bowls. And that is so flattering from a guy like that, but it's not just Kyle. It's the Sean McVays of the world. It's the Matt LaFleur's. It's the Mike McDaniels, and ultimately the Mike Tomlins, and all of the people that you work with or been around that can give you those great compliments like that because of the stuff and the development that you've been able to grow and learn from those guys. And it's really something that you just grow from everybody, right? We mentioned Dan Quinn, but all of these guys would be really hard for me to talk about in depth because over the years, them letting me behind the curtain, so to speak, whether it's with another organization or my own organization, I think has been extremely fortunate for myself.
The fans want me to ask you about Justin Fields and Russell Wilson.
Obviously, you talk about 2 players on the contract, right? And I got so much respect for our fans that I won't get myself in trouble or us in trouble talking about any in particular person. But, it's really exciting with the quarterback group that we talked about that's out there that we have the ability to acquire. And that makes our fan base, that's what make our front office, that's what make our coaches all excited.
Okay, since he can't talk about it, in the comment section, Justin Fields or Russell Wilson, I want y'all to let me know in the comment section which one would you choose, because he can't talk. Of course, they're under contract. He opened his mouth and say anything. One of them draft picks is gone. Team getting fined. So who would you rather see between those two, Justin Fields or Russell Wilson? Let me know in the comment section.
Excited to be able to talk in our rooms about those people. And I can't believe D-Led of all people trying to get me fined on my first day at the podium. The fans.
You're a trailblazer and a role model in this league. What does it mean to you to see Antonio Pierce get a head coaching job?
I talked about this a little bit in my press conference, but I thought the most interesting thing to me throughout this process of people getting head coaching jobs. I think it was three black head coaches that became head coaches this cycle. And I don't think it was talked about. I don't think it was a segment on Sports. I don't think it was a segment on anything that we talked about, whether it was black head coaches or was just the best people for that job. And I'm so happy to see Antonio get that job because he was obviously the best person for that job, for that radio organization. And I'm so proud of him. But to call myself a trailblazer and never look at myself that way. I mean, because there's so many people in front of me and there's so many people going to come behind me that I'm just a part of it. And like, I just want to make sure I make everybody else proud around this. And the only way you do that is go out and do your best and everything that you can to win.
When you talk about the options that you got, a lot of options that you guys can look at, obviously. What gives you the sense that this Falcons team is maybe?
Shout out real quick to Rob Bass, man. He says, been with you since early Facebook days, and I was stationed in Japan. Man, thank you for serving our country, fam. And thank you for rocking with your boy.
Closer than people believe to getting things turned around, being in the building? Like, what gives you that sense?
I got to start with the people that's been acquiring the talent here, and Terry Fontenot, who just talked to you guys. But he's done a great job of building our O line. He's done a great job of getting the guys like Bijan Robinson. He's done a great job of acquiring Cal Pitts. Done a great job of acquiring Drake London. He's done a great job of formulating his defense, letting him go out there and play at a high level. He acquired some really great coaches. When you're talking about Marquise coaching our special teams and leaders of men and people that you just want to go out there and work with. And now it's time to implement a couple new things, go out there and find out who's going to be the trigger man for us and put ourselves in position to win. And I'm not afraid to say that we have the ability and we're capable to go out there and win next year. If we do some of the right things, some of the right moves, we can do that. And that's not an arrogance. That's not a confidence. That's not a cockiness. That is more of a credit to the people that were in the building with me still. So
And let me give your boy major credit right here with what he just said, because we've been saying this for months. All you got to do is hit a home run on the quarterback and the wide receiver. And well, not necessarily even the wide receiver, just the quarterback, your offensive coordinator. If you're able to do those two things, what Raheem just said ain't even arrogant. I think most people see that. If you are able to get a good offensive coordinator and you're able to get a slam dunk quarterback, it's a wrap. This team is in the playoffs. And I'd argue the team might make a deep run in the playoffs. That isn't arrogance. It's just the fact that you look at the team is pretty stacked on offense. You get you another wide receiver whether you're getting that from the free agency, or you get that from the draft. You get you a wide receiver that can take the top off. And then you get Drake London over there with the 50-50 balls, which he's going to come down with the majority of the time. Then you got Kyle Pitts. You still got a slot receiver. You still got a guy that can come from the backfield and catch the ball. Bruh, then your defense, come on, man. What he's saying right here, nobody should be looking at me like, man, this dude tripping. No, this team can win next year. So I agree with Raheem, talk that shit. Talk that cash shit.
some of the people that are not there now and what they've been able to do. If we had better quarterback play last year in Atlanta, I might not be standing here. And they
Agreed.
would have the ability to be talking about those things. But right now, if we can
So let's just let me go back for a second here.
not an arrogance. That's not a confidence. That's not a cockiness. That is more of a credit to the people that were in the building with me still, and some of the people that are not there now, and what they've been able to do. If we had better quarterback play last year in Atlanta, I might not be standing here.
This your new head coach saying this. I'm gonna play this one more time because he told the gospel truth right there. Now you can add offensive coordinator, which was our head coach, but mind you, our head coach was stubborn on the quarterback that we had. This is what your head coach is saying.
Some of the right moves, we can do that, and that's not an arrogance. That's not a confidence. That's not a cockiness. That is more of a credit to the people that were in the building with me still, and some of the people that are not there now, and what they've been able to do. If we had better quarterback play last year in Atlanta, I might not be standing here.
So anybody listening to my voice right now, if you think Desmond Ridder is going to be the starter at the beginning of the new season, you are sniffing on some of that elephant white. You're sniffing on you're sniffing on elephant white, bruh. He said we're not starting Desmond without saying I'm not starting Desmond. Now, you can put the fact that Ridder didn't have a quarterback's coach. I'll concede to that. You can say all the things that you want to. But what he just said was if we had better quarterback play, I would not be here. And that's factual. It's factual, fam. Arthur Smith would be going into his 4th season. But we've been saying this since like week 5, week 6. He gonna get him fired. We've been saying this. Shannon Sharp put out a tweet and said that boy gonna get his coach fired and him cut. But people still want to argue to the high heavens about this. Now your new coach comes in and basically says, if you had better quarterback play last year, your boy wouldn't be here. Your boy wouldn't be here. But I be catching strays when I'm talking about the boy ain't ready to be a quarterback. They need to sit his ass down somewhere. So we'll continue.
And they would have the ability to be talking about those things. But right now, if we can focus on some of those things and do some of that, I think that'll give us the best chance to go out there and win football games. He's just showing off because he knows me so well that he wants me to talk about my offensive prowess. But it was such a cool thing to go on that side of the ball and work with the people that I was able to work with. Whether you're talking about working with Kyle Shanahan directly and being a part of being a receiver coach and sitting down in the room and being the only new staff member, and absolutely sitting down in the room with Matt LaFleur, Kyle Shanahan, Mike McDaniels, Mike LaFleur, and absolutely watching those guys teach me the offense. Chris Morgan teach me the O-line play and what we did up front and protections and doing all those things in that offseason, which was great. And then they were to go apply it, and then they apply it to Julio Jones, Mohamed Sanu, whether it be Calvin Ridley, whether it was any of these type of guys that you coached at that time, and explain it from a defense perspective and moving forward, and then be with Steve Sarkisian and work with him and really do some really good things on offense and learn some of the college game that he was able to implement to the Kyle Shanahan offense and install that to him because he wanted to keep some rhythm and routine that we already had within the building. And then ultimately going to Dirk Cutter and get some of the stuff that Matt did, having success as a rookie, implementing that to our program, being able to do those things, get more assignments for myself and third down, being a pass game coordinator. I can't say enough about that offense experience to be able to go over on that side of the ball, work with those particular men as coordinators, get some really good things, get some really great things from those guys, and be able to apply it once you went back to defense and ultimately becoming a head coach, knowing some different things on how you want to view or talk to your staff members. I couldn't think of a person enough for having an opportunity. And that started with the guy like Dan Quinn allowing me to do that. Jealousy is my relationship with Kirby Smart. Right? Let's go win some championships like that guy. They've done nothing but formulate a great program. And again, it starts with the people. Some good faces back here, Jordan. Sorry, Jordan. But just watching him win championships, it's been fun to see. It's been fun to see the acquisition of great talent coming out of Georgia. I know where I live now is a big Georgia contingency. So like I got to get my Bulldog hats and be ready to support those guys and what they're doing. I'm so sorry. The era of tight ends. That was a random question, but it's like a unique hybrid position right now. And you're seeing greatness across the board. I believe Kelsey and all of those guys have formed this tight end nation, and they've made it a more popular.
Let me get to some of these comments, man, because I'm kind of getting behind here. I'm putting them up as the press conference is going on. But anyway, man, thanks to everybody in the chat, man. Francis says, yeah, Marcus, I heard it too. Better quarterback play. Yes, for sure. We got crucified for saying that over here. But now the head coach is saying it, and People probably ducking and hiding tail or just saying that the coach is wrong. But I digress. Monica says Shay even said that. Yeah, your boy Shannon was speaking that gospel back when he was a starter. Zay says if we would have beat the Saints the last week and the Buccaneers won and made the playoffs, Arthur would be our coach right now. Probably so. The bar for Arthur Smith was so low last year. It was so low. It was so low. When you look at it, none of the teams in the NFC South were threatening. The Saints, they started off with Alvin Kamara being on the bench for 4 games, and they ran their offense specifically through Alvin Kamara. Derek Carr is a mid-tier quarterback at best. So the Saints weren't even threatening. And good God, Carolina. I mean, come on. All you had to do was win 10 games. That's it. Couldn't do that with a Cottonelle soft schedule. Cotton candy schedule. Couldn't do that. Put up the same amount of wins he put up the previous 2 years. So the bar was low for Arthur Smith. Couldn't get out his own head. Well, he said Buccaneers lost. Yeah. ATL Dog says, thank God for Desmond. Oh, Lord, yes. What's going on, April? What's happening? What's happening with you? Hope you're having a good day. Monica also says Arthur Smith play Arthur Smith play calling was worse than Shark. Oh, goodness. 3 Dirty. What's happening, man? What's happening? Bryce says, you think we bringing back Ridley? Man, you know what? That would be an interesting thing. Because he's out there too. And Ridley, I think Ridley caught for 1,000 yards last year. I wouldn't say no because we got rid of Raheem Morris and then brought him back as our head coach. So I would never say never. I would actually welcome it because I thought that Ridley was one of the best route runners in the NFL at the time. And that was no cap. Like Ridley's route running ability is incredible. That's one of his specialties as a wide receiver. I wouldn't mind it. Travis says Arthur's arrogance got him fired. Yeah, along with his quarterback. G says feels good to finally have a head coach that sounds like he has a plan to win and knows what the hell he's doing. I agree with that. Then he also says, what's up? What's going on, G? What's happening? Todd says, so Morris said today, referring to QB, white people don't apply. Morris said, quarterback has to fit the city. What the heck? I haven't heard that. But we're 12 minutes into a 28-minute press conference, and then he had another video with Tori that we're going to get to. So if he said that, we'll address it there. Chill says, hey, Mark, are you surprised to hear Jonnu got cut? I am, low-key. I am, because I thought Jonnu fit what we were doing well. But at the same time, I'm like, hell, you cut him, you saved $6.5 million. If you got all the belief in the world in Kyle Pitts, maybe it's not a bad cut. But yet and still, I was a bit surprised because I like what Jonnu brought to the table. But then at the same time, you do have to realize it was also an Arthur Smith's offense. You know, Smith was more concerned with getting secondary guys the ball than he was our primary guys. Let me get this one more comment, then we'll dive back in. Well, let's do 2 and we'll dive back in. Justin Farmer says, I love the new offensive regime, bringing in probably more faster receivers, get those big physical receivers. Don't get that route tree separation like the speedy guys. I will admit that. You know, that's why, Scotty, I wish Scotty would have got more playing time or more targets because it seemed like clearly he was the fastest receiver that we had at the time. But yeah, I think the guy that they put on the other side of Drake London, he needs to be a speedier receiver or a guy who's proficient with the route tree, who can just get open. Because if you look at Travis Kelce is not a fast guy. He catches the ball and then gets caught. He's not a fast guy, but his ability to get open his ability to run routes and know when to sit down in the right spot of a zone or whatever the case may be. That's what makes him very efficient. So if you can't get that speedy guy, get a guy who is efficient at running the routes. So that's what I would say. Let me get to Todd real quick. We'll get back into it. Todd says he said it on a CBS interview. NIT, not about white people's, but said QB has to fit City. I think City would be fine with wins. We'll find that. We'll find that before we get out of here. But anyway, feel free to keep commenting in the chat. I'll put it up as they come in, and we'll continue.
Position because of what they do. They're involved in the blocking game. They're involved in the passing game. And they really become big-time playmakers in the National Football League. And they take it a little bit of that light and it's provided a little onus on those guys. And it's at probably one of the highest level that we've seen it in the National Football League, with the playmakers, with the blocking, with the ability to be jokers across the board and do different things and create mismatches across the board on offense. And they're a problem every single week when you talk about how you're going to defend them, with who you're going to defend them with. And it's just continuing to grow. So it's been awesome.
You mentioned Mike McDaniel earlier.
Yes.
What do you recall standing out from your interactions with him back in the day?
You know, Mike, I've known for a very long time. I've known Mike from being whatever. I don't even know if you can call people quality control coaches anymore, because nobody wants to take that title. An offensive assistant that had a real big background in the run game is where I really learned it. He had a really big background in the pass game. And sitting down with him, you just recognize the brilliance in the young guy at the time. And then you watched him grow, and he was really weird like he is with you guys. And you knew he was a different dude. And if you sat there long enough to listen to him and get across his point, you were going to learn something from him. And then he was one of those guys that got close to me from a friend standpoint. And I got a chance to meet his family and know all those people and what they do. And him to get a chance to go out there and display his genius over the last couple of years, if you let him tell it, has been fun to watch him and what he's doing in Miami. And even watch him grow as a leader of a football team, and to be able to have the presence that he's been able to go with in his style and his version has been fun to watch as well. So I've just enjoyed to watch all the guys that I've worked with, worked for, worked around, to be able to grow in this profession and do some really good things.
Thanks, everybody.
I'm leaving after this, Rick. Go ahead.
You were a young coach. When did you get
You know, I think it's good. I think when you get into the problem of thinking you deserve something before you actually deserve it, that's when problems happen. When you become bitter. And you guys know me well enough, most of you, that I wouldn't allow anything with the process to make me bitter. I allowed it to make me better, right? Whether it been opportunities to interview for different people or opportunities to grow and learn from different coaches or different walks of life. And I think that's the way you got to do with everything. You don't become the best media member in the world by being a bitter human. You become the best media member in the world by watching great people do great things and learning from what they do well and being able to be the best thief that you could possibly be, Rick. And I watch you become one of the better thieves in this business. Good job.
Process change from your first trip to Indianapolis for the combine to now? What you kind of move out from fact and fiction and evaluate players?
Zach, that is a long time ago, man, for you to ask me about my first evaluation. In 2002, coming here as an assistant, it was a big deal. We went for the media, went for the to be able to sit down with the prospects and really evaluate them and have a chance to sit in front of these guys and get them to talk to you before they were all coached up by their agents. Was a little bit different. You got some real authentic information from guys. You got a chance to be around them, see the learning, see how they can grow, see how they can develop with you, see how they fit with your people. I thought those things were really important. And it was also fun to challenge guys, see them go out there and compete, do some different things when they're talking about running and jumping and doing all the things that we do here. I thought all those things were fun in 2002. And it was the first time, it was new. It was a bigger deal. I can still remember Deion Sanders getting out the car and running the 40 and leaving. So all of those things for us were really special. And then now it's just a little bit different. We're a little bit more coached up. Guys have a chance to get in there and be really professional in their interviews and things of that nature, which is really good, and see those things and being a part of it. Just you guys all being here is a lot bigger now, and how the media has changed when you come to this thing, right? We're standing here in the local scrum, and we're just having a chance to talk to all you guys and be around it. And it's good.
So you feel comfortable with us? You could tell us who your starting quarterback will be for 2024, right?
There's no doubt about it. I just will choose not to. But but that's all a part of it too, right? Going to find out who's going to be represented for us and having a chance to come here and really evaluate that a part of it, and being a chance to be at home and evaluate the free agent part of it or the trade part of it, and having a chance to do that, right? This whole thing is about who can dodge the best questions and do the best.
It feels like the Rams staff under Sean has devalued this event. Does that circle back to what you were just talking about, that it's become maybe less valuable?
I wouldn't say that they devalued the event.
Okay.
I think it's more trust into what the scouts do. Like at the Rams, our scouts still come. We have people come. We have people still do interviews. We still go through the process. We just don't have all of the coaches come that used to come, right? Sean comes at a time. He may come and do some media things and may come back. He may have the ability to come in just to see a person if he wants to. But I don't think the event is devalued. I think it's more of that you're trusting the people that you're working with. He's had a chance to work with Les. He's had a chance to work with that group of people for 7 years now, and they have a different value on how they want to go about moving forward, how they do with the Rams, right? He has some things that he get done at home that he feels more value to, that he wants to do with the guys, with the culture, and how they build their coaching staffs. We all lose coaches now. You get brand new coaches. You got to fix some of those things. There's so many things that you can do when you're away or when you come here. So I don't think they devalue it. I think they just have ability to make a decision on what they want to do each and every single year.
Terry just
Now let me say this, Ben, because I'm not one of those guys that's fascinated by the NFL Combine. Honestly, I hadn't watched the Combine in years. Um, I don't really care about tracking speeds, um, how far you jump, how high you jump, how much you bench. I could care less about all that stuff because we've seen some non-athletic Hall of Famers in this league. Um, we've seen some guys that didn't look good in the combine turn around and have great careers. So I'm not really, caught up in the NFL combine. So I can kind of understand where the Rams are coming from by like, listen, we'll just send our scouts out there. Our scouts will come back and tell us what we need to eyeball and all that other stuff. You have some players that are what I call game ready. Just when the game starts, they're the guy. Like, I remember hearing this story about Allen Iverson. Um, and one of his former teammates talked about how Allen Iverson didn't practice all summer. Like they kept talking about going to the gym and practicing and all this other stuff. And man, Allen Iverson was out there wilding out. But when the season started and the mandatory practice came in, he came in busting everybody's ass. And this man didn't shoot a ball the whole entire summer. So I don't really get, I don't really wake up for the combine. But the fact that our coach and our GM are down there, that is something to look at. And plus, they're being interviewed about certain things, and a lot of things they're just not going to give up. They're not going to give up. They're moving up. We've been talking with Chicago. We've been talking with Minnesota. Hey, bet y'all didn't know we were talking to Denver on the slide. They're not going to say anything like that. But when you get tidbits like, if you had better quarterback play, I wouldn't be here. That kind of gives you an indicator of where the team's heading. So I like to hear conversations like this, but the combine to me are for they're for the scouts, man. Honestly, they're for the scouts. So we'll get back to it.
Made a really good point that Zach and TJ, two former quarterbacks on your staff, you guys are in the market for a quarterback. How can their experience help this new era?
I really think, sorry to cut you off, but I really think that the more experience you can have, the more opinions you can have around looking for the quarterback, the better. I don't think anybody's got the correct formula figured out on how to find a quarterback. If we did, it'd be an easier thing than it is, but you want more opinions. You talk about, it's not just those two guys. You're talking about Ken Zampese. You're talking about DJ Williams. You're talking about KJ Black. You're talking about Chandler Whitmore. You're talking about a bunch of guys in that building, leaning on some people that's actually played for us, that's worked with us, leaning on people from different sides of the ball, like a Jimmy Lake that's been around some of the guys that we've been around. So I think it's going to be a community thing and how we talk about it. I think it's going to go through all the weeds of everybody being a part of that stuff. But those two guys in particular, from playing the position and being to know what the process would look like, to know what the dynamic guy looks like, certainly helps.
How much do you enjoy the fact that there are a ton of viable options for you guys, not just in this draft?
I think it's really key, and I think it's really good for all of us to know that there are options in free agency. There are options via trade. There are options within the draft, whether you move up, move back. There are second tier options. There's plan A's, there's plan B's, there's plan C's. And now we just got to go out and execute, right? And I think it's about us and trusting the people that you work with and being able to evaluate the people that you want to evaluate and go out there and get the best plan moving forward.
Raheem, I know there's 1,000 data points that go into each individual player, but what do you put on the Wonder Lick? I know there's some agencies out there, athletes first telling their players, do not take this. You don't want to get anything leaked. What's your thoughts on that and choosing not to take this test, and how much emphasis have you put on it in years past?
Zach, I think it's each person individually got to make that decision. I think, it's not that it's devalued, but it's been wrong in certain situations that we know most familiar. And then you can't knock people for making those decisions. I think the whole prospect and the whole deal of all of it is definitely a factor. I think if you have the information, you use it. You got to be careful how you use it. Obviously, everything's not 100%. Everything's not right. Everything's not wrong. But I just think it's within the individual prospects and how you use it. It's particularly the agency and how they want to use it, right? I think some people felt a little slighted last year, and I think you got to make the decision on how you use that stuff and everything. It's no different than whether you come to the combine or you're not, whether you take the Wonder Lick or you're not, or whether you're working out at the combine or you're not. I think all those things have to come into play. But at the end of the day, coaches put most value on tape.
You mentioned the interview process. Is there a certain question or just general topic that you try to ask guys to get to know them personally?
A little bit different now. It's more structurally sound in how we go about our business, and how you move forward and how you really want to get to know the people and to know who they are. So it's a little bit different in those situations, in those settings. You can't really get to know people in that way. To get to know people, you got to bring them when, you got to trust some of the people that've been around them most of their lives. You got to do your research and your background and do all those type of different things. Those things are more, just picking up things and subtle differences in who you want to be around. When I met you first, I knew I wanted to be around you, right? And that was easy. That was easy to see our local media and how we want to go about our business, right? How we got to our first press conference when you guys were all serious and uptight. And I said, hey, let's loosen this thing up a little bit and have some fun. No difference in those interactions that you would have with some of these guys, some of these prospects.
What have you enjoyed most about this process, being at the combine over the years and then now with you being the guy?
The thing that I was really I'm not the guy, DJ, you're the guy. But the thing that I've mostly enjoyed is being around you. Having the chance to come here and go back with the process, being a head coach again, being a part of those decisions, being a collaborative with Terry, knowing that the group I'm around is absolutely excellent, and then having the chance to come here and talk to D-Led again.
Why do you think the quarterback position, Raheem, is so hard to evaluate?
It's the hardest position in sports, arguably. It's well documented, it's well talked about. Like when we see greatness at the quarterback position, like we've seen in our history, we really respect that. You respect it from all levels. When you're talking about arguably the greatest in Tom Brady, or arguably whoever just came in to play the position, you're always going to compare to some of the greats of our game, no matter what the current situation is.
There's obviously plenty of playmakers on this roster, and I know the goal every year is to add all over your roster. But how much stress do you put on adding another weapon for whoever this quarterback is going to be?
I don't think it's stress. I think it's something that you want to go out there in order to win championships. So it's less about the stress of it all. It's more about how do you find ways to win more games with more people and getting people involved. And I think we have done a great job of acquiring talent and getting people here that are really going to help us. And I think there's no different. You always want to add people that's going to be helpful. You always want to add people that's going to come out here and help you win games.
But you still feel like you could add a playmaker?
There's no question. Like, you're going to have the ability to add across from Drake London. You're going to have the ability to add, to be able to help all across the board, whether you're talking about defensively, offensively, or special teams, that you can add people to your roster.
As you evaluate your quarterback,
Let me pause this for a second. I'm gonna rewind this a bit, because peep what he said. Peep the first thing that he said.
People that's going to come out here and help you win games.
But you still feel like you could add a playmaker?
There's no question. Like, you're going to have the ability to add across from Drake London. You're going to have the ability.
First thing he said is the wide receiver across from Drake London. Wide receiver. These guys know what they need. They know what they need. And again, I don't care about the combine, but it's little things like this that in passing, if you're not really paying attention, you'll just walk past this. But what he just said, these are indicators of these guys are telling you what their needs are. So you got playmakers on offense. Could you use another one? Yeah. Guy across from Drake London. And then he says, he basically references the rest of the team after that.
Ability to add, to be able to help all across the board, whether you're talking about defensively, offensively, or special teams, that you can add people to your roster.
As you evaluate your quarterback decision, do you feel like does the question of timeline come into your mind?
100%.
I'm 50-50 on that, RJ.
If you're looking at a rookie quarterback versus a more veteran roster, how do you make that balance?
I think it's the urgency on what you go about your decision making, right? You got to make some decisions pretty early here, whether it's free agency, based on the timeline that we're given from the National Football League. You got to make some decisions based on when the draft is going to acquire, when it's going to happen, whether you think that guy's ready made to go out about and play that year, whether you surround him with a veteran presence to go play after him, whether you make a trade for a guy and try to get the best out of that guy. You got to make those things accordingly. You got to make those things all with the people in your framework, right? And that'll be Terry Fontenot. You got to make it with Kyle Smith. You got to make it with Ryan Pace. You got to make it with the coaches we just acquired. And ultimately, you got to make it with Arthur Blank, right? And all those decisions we made with us in that format, right? And we'll put some thought into it, and like we have been, we'll be in those circles. And I joke right now because it's a little bit different, right? It's a competitive urgency because of the roster that we have. And we can be competitive very quickly if we are able to pick the right person. We can go through that process. That's what we're going through.
Let me stop right here. He's talking about a sense of urgency in the time frame we have right now. So the way I interpret this, and it's just me, it's just my personal opinion, you're not going to go with a rookie quarterback. Unless this guy is just all world. He's just all world. You can put him in this roster right now and he'd take you to a Super Bowl. And you know that for a fact. But the thing with rookie quarterbacks, how many times have we seen that in the National Football League? When you honestly look back over the National Football League, when is the last time a rookie quarterback came in and in year one took their team to the Super Bowl? In year one. I don't care how good he was. In year one. It's been a minute. It's been a minute. Because no matter how good a rookie is, there are just things to the game that they're not used to. Patrick Mahomes talked about how he really didn't start understanding defenses until year 2, year 3? We talking about the best quarterback in the game right now. And I don't know if there are many Patrick Mahomes as good as some of these guys are in the draft right now. I'm not going to go out on a limb and say these guys got Patrick Mahomes' talent to them. So, again, there is a sense of urgency because of this roster, not only because of that, but because you're going to have these guys on rookie contracts literally coming up year after year after year. Kyle Pitts is up first, right? Drake London is up the next year. Actually, Drake London and Tyler Algier are up in the same year. Then Bijan follows right behind him. So you do have to pay attention to the salary cap on top of A.J. Terrell and guys on defense as well. So you do have a compressed window. And there is a sense of urgency with this roster because we were supposed to be in the damn playoffs last year. So that's my thing. They could go up and get a rookie guy. Hey, I don't know, but not me.
Certain intangible.
I was coming delayed. I got cut off.
Yeah. Is there a certain intangible that you're looking for? Whether it be quarterback, defensive players, or anything like that?
Yeah, it all starts with our Falcon ethos. It's the people. You want to bring in good people to your program. And usually when you pick good people, you get good results. So that'd be number one. And then obviously the other intangibles that you guys know. There's always the height, weight, speed, and all those type of things. But they better start with the person first. I'm coming, D-Led. You ready?
Yeah, I'm ready. Yeah, it used to just be me and Coach Smith at the donut shop.
You got a lot of people now.
Yeah, we got a posse now.
Rest in peace, Vaughn. We had all of us, man.
Yeah, we got a posse now. But hey, some of the coaches were talking about your assignments and getting in there and getting at it. How's your staff been getting after it? And sound like you gave them a bunch of assignments.
D-Led, I think it's really been fun, right? Is when you get there and you want to talk about profile tapes. You want to talk about going about the evaluation of free agents. You want to talk about getting our systems in place. You want to talk about looking at the team that's currently in place to find out what the people that are on our roster can do and how we can accentuate those talents. I think that's been fun for us because that's what coaches love to do, D-Led, right? So getting in there and getting all the assignments, I don't think you look at it as assignments. You look at it as fun, authentic work that's all involved in winning. And that's what we've been able to do over the last couple of weeks, or really what has been a month now. So it has been absolutely a grind when it comes to that. And if you can find ways to get that and get your family sales situated, because you got a couple people coming out of town, I think that's the best way to go about our process. So he coming here, like I said, when I did this years ago in 2002, you had this nervous energy to feel like you were rushed to get everything done. And now it's more of a competitive urgency for us to take our time, sit down and get the thing right in order to go about our process.
And timeline-wise, with the new year starting on the 13th, those projects are kind of got to start wrapping up, right? Assessment of the roster.
We've been wrapping those things up on a weekly basis, right? Assessment of the roster, whether you're talking about what we're looking for from a talent acquisition standpoint. We've been wrapping up those things as far as what we're talking about from the free agency to get all our opinions across the board in order for the decision makers to make decisions. And now you're moving into obviously the college part of this and how that's going to play into it. And that also plays into what you're going to do moving forward when it comes to whether to draft, being a number 8 pick right now, moving up, moving back. All of these things got to be talked about in a real timely fashion. It's going to increase right now as we go. So everything's on the table, and we'll go out there and we'll find out what's best for us.
5 a.m. text to Terry Fontenot, right?
But that was when I was on the West Coast, so they're coming a little bit earlier right now, and I try to be respectful of Terry, so I try to calm myself down by drinking a bunch of coffee before I actually text him. But I try to keep it at 5 right now for him, just to keep him. I can't stay up late at night, but I can definitely get up early.
Raheem, the more film you watch on this team, what stands out to you?
The more film on our team.
Yeah.
It's just exciting. Terry's done such a great job of acquiring talent. When you talk about Bijan Rodgers, Drake London, you talk about an offensive line, right? Really, the offensive line is what steps out, right? You talk about Jake Matthews, you talk about some of the guys that you drafted when you were here, like a Chris Lindstrom and a Caleb McGarry, then they're adding the young center and you're adding the young guard. From last year, that offensive line and how they play and their effort that they play with and talking with their coach, D-Led, that we're able to keep. I think, like I said, D-Led, you coach the line now. But, you getting Ledford there. You get a chance to, sit down and talk to them and see the excitement in the building about those guys. That would be one of the things that really excites me, and there's multiple things, but since you caught me on the spot with that question, that was the first thing I thought about.
What's your conversations with Des been like, knowing that this position is so much question, so much spotlight on it?
Obviously you can't talk to the guys as much as you would like to about football. We're not in that process, but when we get there, obviously this is a professional business, and the guys that are in this business know it's professional and you have to win. And we didn't do enough winning, or I wouldn't be standing here be able to talk to you guys right now. So you got to put Des in position and find a way to get him to be the best version of himself. So I can't wait to get him in the building when that's legal, when he comes back in, to get around our guys, to be a part of our football, to put him a part of this process. But like I said, all gates are open and what we're going to do and how we move about our business. And obviously we know we're in the process of finding a quarterback and the guy that's going to lead us to winning.
I know you're not holding anything against the quarterbacks who decide not to throw here at the combine, but for the guys that do throw, can it change your perspective on them at all?
It just really comes down to competitive nature and how you go about your business. Most quarterbacks, DJ, I tell you, like to be in their environment and who they're throwing to and control a little bit more. Most quarterbacks like to control what they talk about and what they want to do. And then there's some guys that are just ballers and go out there and just do it. And that gives you a little bit of a baller sense of a guy that goes out and does it at the combine, because he can throw to anybody. And that's a little something to it. And I wouldn't say it changes, but you get you a little bit more about the person, which we talked about. So to each his own.
2024, what would Raheem Morris run the 40 in?
Oh man, terrible. First of all, nothing, because he's not running the 40.
You breaking 10?
He's not running.
All right, man. So that was the press conference / interview of Raheem Morris. And, there were a lot of interesting things said in there. But let me ask this question to you guys, man. So how do you feel since Raheem Morris has been announced as the head coach? Put a 1 in the comments or 1 in the chat if you think that you're comfortable with him being the head coach. Put a 2 in the chat if you still have doubts that this is the right guy for this team. Y'all can do that while I'm queuing up the next interview. Let's go here. All right, so we got a couple already in. So G's got it at a 1. Ray's got it at a 1. Justin's got it at a 1. Okay, Todd still like, I don't know. Eldrick 1. A1 Sauce, what's happening, fam? He's got a 1. Terry Manson says 1. Tremaine says 1. Atlanta Dog says 1. Dean Sama says 1. Bill says 1. Bryce always. Oh. Bryce says 1. What's the question? Okay, Bryce. If you believe that Raheem Morris, if you like the hire, basically, if you believe Raheem Morris is the guy for the team, put a 1. If you still have doubts, put a 2. Justin said, Toddy, come on, man. Tyreek says 1. Todd says, somebody got to rock the boat. Yeah. But we gonna give Bryce a pass, man. Bryce been a rider for a while. Sean says 1 for now. Okay. Jay Lana says 2. Okay. Charles says 1. Or Charles says 3. Man, wasn't no third option, Charles. Wasn't no third option, man. Bryce says 1 for now. I got to see what we do at quarterback. Okay, fair enough. Rob says, I like him, but he's got to show his worth. Fair enough. Rodney says 1.5. All right, so cool. All fair. For me right now, you know what? I'm kind of in the middle. I like the hire. I like the hire. I like what I'm hearing from for Raheem, and I want Raheem to do fantastic. But he does have to show. So, and I say that because, man, we've been a bad team for a while. And with all the coaches that were out there, you know, this man got the job over some premium coaches now. So I like what I hear from Raheem a lot. I think he's a good fit. He said all the right things. But you know, the proof is in the pudding. As soon as the new season starts, the proof is in the pudding. I can love you to death, but if you come out here half-stepping, you know. Country says 1 for sure. I love the hire of Raheem Morris. Okay. Justin says someone gonna say 4. Charles says, laughing my ass off. I'll ride with 1. I'm always going to give someone a chance. That's why I rode with Ritter for a while. Okay. Alejandro says +1. Zay says we always like what we're hearing, but never like what we're seeing on the field. Exactly. So I will say, I do think that Raheem Morris, bare minimum, we're going to get to the playoffs. So I do have a lot of confidence, but there's still that you have to prove it. You know, Jeffrey says, call me crazy, but the more I hear Raheem talk, I'm starting to believe more. All right. Bryce says he gets high remarks around the league and he's a good fit, but we need results. Like, we got to stop accepting mediocrity and slogans. Don't do that. The one thing that I like about Raheem, ain't no slogans came out yet. All he's talked about is winning. And, you know, some of the things that he's touched on from the past season, I don't think any other coaches would talk about that. I just don't, you know. So he's talked about, you know, the inefficiency of the team, but he's also bigged up. He's also bigged up the offensive line, Bijan, guys like that. Millie says, Mark, what's up, bro? What's going on, fam? He also says it's basically obvious now Ritter is done for show. Yeah. Now he can't talk. Of course, these guys can't talk about these players. Even, you know, he's not really going to slam Desmond Ritter. You know what I'm saying? And they can't talk football to these players now because of the rule that they got in place. But if Ritter was the guy, this would never be a question. Todd says, Mark, playoffs? LOL, let's get a quarterback first, man. The reason why I say that is because last year we should have went to the playoffs. We underwhelmed so badly at that position and the offensive coordinator position. We effectively lost games we shouldn't have lost. I just be real. If you get a competent guy in there, you're making the playoffs. Because still, the NFC South is not threatening at all. At all. And you let Tampa Bay get up off of Mike Evans. You let Tampa Bay allowed Mike Evans to walk. They're a sub 500 team easy. Easy. Carolina, they're still in a rebuild. The Saints, Jay Lana says 2, only because we heard good stuff at the beginning with Arthur Smith also, but he can quickly change my mind into 1 depending what happens this offseason and into the season. Okay. Justin says the only question is once Zach Robinson leaves and if some coaches staff leaves, how will he still be able to sustain success like a McVay? Lots of those type of questions. Well, we know from jump we got at least 2 years with Zach Robinson because that's usually how the cycle goes. If you have a good OC, they don't really try to pluck him that first year, but that second year for sure he's gone. But that is a valid question, but I think that's a question further down the line when it comes to this team. Travis says 1, I love his confidence and he's speaking straight with no chaser. Okay. All right, Travis. Rodney says he better not because the first time I hear the Dirty Birds are back, I'm done. I'm done. All right, man. So what I'm going to do is I might have to cut this video in 2 because hold on. Let me get to this real quick because what I want to do is get to the interview that he also did with Tori. Let me see if it's okay. Yeah, Tori don't get to show the Ninja Turtle calves today, y'all. So I'm sorry. There will be no Michelangelos in this video. I know that might upset a lot of folks. No, I repeat, no Michelangelos. So let's go ahead and get into this, fam. We'll probably do the Terry Fontenot one tomorrow. I promise you. All righty. So here we go right here. Tori's doing a hell of a job, man. A hell of a job. But we'll go ahead and get into this one. And again, I'll put your comments up as they come in. Feel free to comment anytime you want to in the chat. I will put it up as the video's playing. This video, I'll probably have minimal interruption. This one's about 15 minutes long, so we'll go ahead and get it started right now.
Taryn Walk and head coach Raheem Morris coming to you from the NFL Combine in Indianapolis. Now, Raheem, the last time that we talked to you, you had just done your introductory press conference. You're in the process of building your staff. Now, kind of all of those new things are done. Hopefully. You've hit that point. Now, what's the priority? How does the priority shift at this point?
Tori, I like your radio personality right now. Act like we don't walk by each other in the building every day. That was not the last time I talked to her, guys. I'm not that guy to close my door, so I'm going to call her out on that.
He does. He comes by and to go like to the calf.
We've got all kinds of construction going on in our building, so I have to walk by Tori
all the time,
at least once a day.
He knows we have the suites on our side.
Yes, and you got some good looking. You got a good looking building over there, so it's pretty nice to walk through. But the process has been great. Acquiring the coaches, really leaning on Terry and myself to go through that stuff and get it done pretty quickly. Chris Olsen did a great job of getting guys signed and getting guys into our building as quickly as possible. Really thankful for Madison, really thankful for Steve Skarnecki, really thankful for Rob down and out that we got those guys in place to get these guys moved in and get them going and get them rolling. We've been able to get to some of our profile tapes. We've been able to do some of our own talent evaluation of our own roster, be able to talk about the people that we have and how we can use them and how exciting that is. Some of those things are now starting to the UFA evaluations, and then obviously ultimately about to go into the college evaluation. That's what we all hear, has been outstanding by the coaches, along with guys starting to get some scheme and some stuff like that. Whether you're talking about offense, defense, or special teams, has been really good. A really good transition for all of us. And we've had some great people to help us along with that process. You know, people forget how many people it takes to get people in place.
Yeah.
And I would be remiss if I didn't bring up the people that's helped us do that this far. You know, obviously Sarah's left, but she was a part of that early. Laura and all of the people in the building that we know well have been outstanding, and I couldn't thank them enough.
You said the college scouting starts now. What are your goals for the combine?
You know, for me, it's obviously to get here and support Terry. You know, I think people lose sight when you get caught up in the moment that you don't really support the other person enough. This is a big event when you're talking about the general manager and acquiring talent and how you want to go about your business. So whatever he needs from me is what I want to be able to support him. Obviously, he'll support me during the season when we're trying to win games, but like supporting him now in the offseason and how we talking about it and being able to give him more information that we can give him from my side, whether that be the coaches or myself, to allow us to make decisions when we have to make those decisions down the road. So the biggest part of the combine for me is the ultimate support for him.
To that point, even kind of coming back a couple of weeks and, you know, scouts are having their February meetings, all that stuff is happening. Y'all are really figuring out who you want to be, how you want to run things. I asked Terry this question. I would love to get your perspective too. How do you kind of marry the two ideals together? Because obviously you're coming in with the new staff wanting to build something, your own ideals, your own scheme. And then the scouting staff has been here for years. And so they have their goals and their ideas and their schemes and their philosophies. So how do you get those two to marry together?
Tori, there is no ego in football. So they've acquired some really good talented players. And when you find those talented players that you can use within your system, you want to be able to come in and be able to tell them how you're going to use them. You want to tell those guys what they can do. And then there's some things where there's some non-negotiables and things that people can't do that you can't do without. So like the communication between the scouts and the coaches, and that being ongoing, it being direct, it being how we got to go about our business is what we've been doing over the last couple of months.
Shout out to Justin, man. Shout out to Justin, man. Appreciate you being a part of the team.
In order to make sure we make those things right. The communication between myself and Terry is very important, but it's even more so important when we're talking about the scouts and the coaches and just listening and being a part of that stuff with each other, because that is how you form teams. That is how you build teams. That's how you build everything you're doing. And there's no ego in this thing, right? You come into this thing with no egos. You come into this thing, you're talking to each other, you're communicating. How do you use players? How do you use people? How do you get people, acquire people? How important is our Falcon ethos to how the people we bring in? All of those things are, I think, the things that we've done a really good job over the last couple of weeks.
You know, we have to ask you about the quarterback.
Sure.
I'm sure you've already been asked this so many times.
Multiple
times.
When during the introductory press conference, you said those conversations hadn't really begun. Where are those conversations now?
They're at a high level, right? And what I mean by that is there are so many different options of people that you can acquire, right? And we talked about it, right? Obviously the media answer for you guys, right? We can go through the draft.
Let me stop right here. Let me stop right here before he goes into his spill. Todd says that ain't the interview. We'll find it before we get up off of here, fam. I'll look for it after this one. I did want to get to Tori's interview with Raheem, because she does a hell of a good job. But what he's saying right now is a clear indicator. Desmond is not the guy. Why would the talks be high if you got your guy here? Like, why? Like, if you believe Desmond Ridder can be fixed, the conversation isn't high. It's like, we brought in these guys. We have a lot of faith in Desmond Ridder. And, we got a lot of faith that Desmond Ridder is going to do great next year as our starter. No! They're high. You're talking about free agency. You're talking about the draft. For Christ's sakes. So I'm going to keep pounding on this drum, because you still got some people out here believing Desmond Ridder is going to be starting next year, week 1. And y'all are tweaking. They are telling you Desmond Ridder ain't the guy. And they're telling you without throwing him completely under the bus. But they're telling you this ain't the guy. So let's continue.
We can go through the trade. We can go through
free agency,
right? All the different ways of going about it. But let's be honest, right? There's scenarios for all of those spots, right? There's
Mhm.
a scenario A, there's scenario B, there's scenario C, there's scenario D. And Terry and I have really, in my opinion, done a great job of getting together and kind of formulating those opinions, getting those things on paper, trying to figure out how we can make those things work. If they can work, if we have the ability to make those things work, how do we use our assets to make those things work? And I think those things with all of us together is a part of the communication that I talked about, but that's where we're at, right? We've gone a lot further of some of the evaluations of people from all those walks of what we talked about. And we've done some of the evaluations that we're going to get either further into with some of the combine guys, some of the guys coming out of college, that I think that we'll be able to find us a nice quarterback so we can go win games together.
Yeah. How much will the combine narrow down all those scenarios?
This is a big part of it, right? Because there's going to be some decisions that have to be made pretty quickly here based on our NFL schedule and how you go about your business, right? And that's going to be a big part of what everything happens, right? The combine happens. All these things are happening. Some of those things that happen when the free agency period opens up. Some of those things will happen after you get into the draft and how you get further into the road. So I just can't wait to see what happens, right? Obviously, all the general managers and some of the head coaches will be talking about how you move players, how you get players. And those are the things that will happen within the next couple of weeks.
I asked Terry, I was like, you always come in here with a theme of your combine availabilities. And so I asked him, I was like, what's the theme for 2024? And he kind of landed on this idea of we're going to be aggressive. There's this idea of aggression. When you hear that, what kind of runs through your mind and what excites you about maybe that as a theme for this offseason?
I think Terry's, speaking for our fans, the aggressive mentality to go out and find a quarterback to go win. Right. And that is what he's talking about. Like, he wants to have an aggressive mindset to go get somebody that can help us win long-term and short-term. And I think he's done a great job of putting himself in position to do it. That is not just him, right? It goes to so many walks of our building. Where we're at with our cap, where we're at with the people in our building. Are we ready to win? The coaches that we've aligned to put in place, the people that are around them every single day preparing us to get ready, right? That beautiful building that's being constructed for us and how we're going to be able to go back and have that as a luxury, so to speak. And it's really been well done in our Atlanta city for us to be able to go out there and get our stuff done. I almost said Atlanta and ethos at the same time. I just made up a word right there.
Terry's rubbing off on you.
They go hand in hand at this point.
So for you, when you kind of are looking at the opportunities ahead of y'all, I know I asked Terry this about salary cap and the fact that there's $30 million extra dollars that I don't think a lot of people truly thought was going to be there. For you, in this idea of being aggressive and this idea of going after what you want, how much hope does that give you about the roster that you'll have available to you in August?
To not answer Terry's question about the salary cap, but the projections are always there because of how popular the sport is and how that moves and how well that's been doing over the last couple of years, that you can kind of project where we're going. And you don't see yourself going backwards because of how popular you've made it. Mm-hmm. Right, talking to the media and you guys today, that you're the media today instead of my down the hall neighbors. Right, you guys are those guys. But those projections have been made, and it's really exciting for all of us, right? Because it's not fantasy football, but it certainly is fun to be able to go out and find ways to acquire talent to bring into part of some things that have been really done well around here, and to be a part of some people that's done some really good things, and to be a part of some really good guys like a Jared, like a AJ Terrell, like a Jake Matthews, being some veteran leaderships, along with those young guys that we keep mentioning. That it is fun and it is cool to think about. And not to say we knew we'd have 30 extra million, but to get it, you certainly do go through your projections and be ready to deal with it when it happens. And I think him and the staff have done a nice job of preparing us for that.
I think you've mentioned Terry in each answer. How has that relationship formed? Because I know that was a priority for you coming in, especially having seen how Sean McVay and Les Snead work together.
I've spent so much time with Terry that I can't say a sentence without mentioning his name because it's truly it's been fun, right? And it's been fun to be a part of being with him and just talking through the ideas on what we can do as opposed to what you can't. And I think that's been really positive for all of us and how we move forward. I think that's been a positive trademark that we're starting to acquire with each other, and it goes back to communication, like we talked about earlier, like that open, that honest, that ongoing. I think that is huge, and that has to not just be words that we said in the press conference or to open the press conference. I think it's something you have to live, and I think we're showing the ability to be able to live that right now, and I think that's the cool part for us.
Well, you even said there's been some disagreements, and y'all are able to work through them. How does that strengthen that bond?
For me, I don't ever want to be the smartest person in the room. I'm not the smartest person at this table right now, right?
Oh, come on.
I want you guys to have the ability to be able to listen, to be able to learn, and I think that's a part of it, right?
Kenneth will be on here
when he's
sooner
going
or
through his
later,
points
fam.
and we're talking about the stuff, whether I agree right away or not, it allows me to go back and do more research. It allows me to talk to different people. It allows me to come back and circle back and say, hey, I can see your value and your point, and then here's let's get together and come up with a happy medium on what we want to do. And I think all those decisions has to be done that way. And like I truly believe the collaborative mentality on how we want to get our business done. And we've displayed that the last couple of weeks with each other.
Yeah. How have you seen? I want to talk about your coordinators really quickly because they've actually had the opportunity to get in there, start working with their staff, start working all of you together in one location, which that in and of itself I think is a feat. But how have you seen Jimmy Lake, Zach Robinson take over their respective units?
I love the fact that you get a chance to lead, and as a leader, that the position I'm in position to give those guys good guidance, and then the guidance that they've taken it to another level with their own individual units on how they've been moving, right? So having the different leadership groups from those sides of the ball, along with Marquise from the special team side of the ball, getting his staff in line and getting the things that he wants and things that we need. We get together and get to put together our musts, our wants, our needs, and having the clear-cut vision on what they believe and what Terry believes and myself, and bringing all those things together, to me, has been outstanding. And is there absolute way you want to go to empower some of the people to be around you, to lead their groups, to be able to get with their groups, be able to settle those guys down, and also, like you mentioned, having a disarray of getting people into one place at one time has been outstanding.
Yeah. Now we are at the NFL Combine, so I would be remiss if I didn't ask this question, but how do you kind of go into the Combine, and what are you looking for when you have these conversations with these prospects? You have the formal interviews, the informal interviews, the workouts. I mean, what are you really prioritize over the course of this week?
We can say whatever we want to say about the Combine, but the thing that you get the best information from is the medical.
Mm-hmm.
And the medical either breaks your hearts or it makes you excited, right? But getting the medical from the players is really important. Getting them all in the same spot, getting a chance to have Jake Files around them, your doctors, your people, to be able to give you good information, to have some projection on what these guys can be, right? Obviously, when we look at tape from a coach's standpoint, that lights us up, that fires us up. But ultimately, you got to make some projections when it comes to the medical stuff and how you want to do about your business. So that's a major part for it, right?
Yeah.
I am fortunate because I really trust our scouts and how they go about their business and the information they've been able to gather over a couple of years to be able to talk about it and have conversations with the guys and them show you who they are in their walk of life when you do the interviews. But the most important part for me is the medical, and then it just moves down from there on the players, the player on tape, and the different things you get a chance to run on that 10-minute interview. You get a chance to get with them.
Now let me
15, whatever.
Let me touch on this real quick because this is a very valid point. You always see guys come out of college. They might have had an injury that year or the previous year, or et cetera, and you want to evaluate because the talent might be off the chain, man, but some injuries they don't get better. You look at Todd Gurley. Todd Gurley was a monster running back. I mean, a monster. Now look at him. Boy ain't even in the league anymore. And his injury never got better, and they actually said it would get worse. So again, I do agree with this. And when I look at Kirk Cousins, I'm also looking at what he just said too. You got to look at the medical and make sure it's okay. It's 100%. You don't want to, I hate to compare humans to cars, but you don't want to get a lemon. You don't want to, draft somebody with your 8th pick and come to find out, their injury history is, it's a lot worse than you thought it was. And then the guy go out the first season and then he's just never right. You know what I mean? And you feel like you wasted a pick at the end of it all. So I agree that should be the very first thing that you look at. But I would, again, these are why, listening to these key pieces, he's talking about the medical thing being the first thing that he looks at. So we might want to take a look at some of these guys that are in the draft and see if they got medical issues. You know what I'm saying? Like, we might want to take a look at that because, again, he might be eyeballing one of those guys, but we got to make sure the medical is straight. We got to make sure that this thing don't come back on us, baby. So again, these are why listening to these things when people say, "Oh, he ain't say nothing," nah, if you listen, they're saying a lot of stuff without saying it. But let's continue, fam.
I think all those things really help us and move forward.
I genuinely didn't expect you to say medical.
That-
I don't know.
I know that's a great answer,
Yeah.
and I think that's the most realistic answer. When it comes to, you talk about trusting the scouting department, was there a moment over the last month and a half where you really felt that trust had been established, and what was that moment where you looked at them and you're like, you know what, these guys know their stuff, I trust them to make these decisions and really inform me?
You never want to say that you completely trust anybody right now, but it's an ongoing process, right? And I think they've done nothing to show me trustworthy type attitudes and things moving forward, right? So over the last couple of weeks, the information, how we've moved, how we've talked, how we've communicated, how I've been able to listen, how they've been able to learn, how I've been able to learn, listen, everything, all the different things going back. It just runs in this circle, and I think that thing will be developed over time. And I think that's the way we projected it moving forward. And I think it's really coming full circle for us right now with myself, with Terry, with Kyle Smith, with Ryan Pace. And I can go on DeWine throughout the building, and like the people that are Hakeem, right? All the guys that are around every day and just absolutely build into that fire, I think is how you develop that trust and keep it going, right? Let's be honest, I was a little bit fortunate, right? I made a comeback, and I got a real trust developed with Tumbo and Rustin Webster and
good point.
Some of the guys that were here that I've worked with on numerous occasions, and like that's a difference, right? That is a different circumstance for most people coming into a situation that I'm in.
Yeah, not a lot of people have that in this league, and I think that's something to be commended. Now, before we get you out of here, you talked about there are some non-negotiables that we're never going to stray from when it comes to these prospects, these players, whether it be free agency, the draft, trade, whatever. What are some of those for you?
It was it's always different situations. Everybody's going to be a different platform. There are always going to be character traits that throw up warning signs for us to discuss.
Yeah.
Right. And then the non-negotiables will obviously talk about our ethos, but it also talk about the people that I want to bring around YouTube. Right. That's a major part for it for me as well. Right. It's not just a player. It's about, do I feel comfortable bringing them in our building around people that I care about?
There you go.
And I think that's really important for us to make those decisions. And that's how you establish your non-negotiables at the end of the day. We have the character traits, which are pretty obvious to people, and what you know and what you don't want. You know, just to say bad people without going to all of them.
Yeah.
But then do I feel comfortable bringing them to the building with you?
Yeah.
And that's important to me.
Oh, I feel prioritized.
I think that's a good note to end on. It's a feel-good note. Now, thank you so much. I know you got a ton of stuff to do today, so we'll let you go. But thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
All righty. So we will definitely look at we will look for this interview on CBS, I guess. But in the meantime, let me go to this comment. Justin he also put up a comment, and I'm a let the chat weigh in on this too. So Justin says, "Hey Mark, if the Falcons do the trade up to draft a QB, what QB interests you and would love to see the Falcons? Would you love to see the Falcons pick up?" So what I'm gonna do while I look for this video, you guys get in the chat. What quarterback do you, if they were to trade up, which quarterback do you think that they should get? All right. So let me look this up real quick. Okay, I think we found it. Damn, that was quick. All right. Millie says Drake May or Daniels. All right, that's all we got right now. So let me do this. We'll play the video. You guys put your Charles said I'll bring back Mariota. I ain't even putting that on the screen, Charles. I ain't even putting that on the screen. But what we'll do, we'll go into this video. And as the comments come in from the chat, I'll put it up. All right, so let's share this real quick. All righty, let's get to it. Let's get active.
Jonathan Jones, CBS Sports, alongside new Atlanta Falcons head coach. What once was old is new again. Atlanta Falcons, Raheem Morris. Raheem, welcome. Congratulations. I guess I got to start with what's it like being back in Atlanta?
It's a lot of fun, Jonathan. It's really good to get back into your city, to where you're from, to where you've been and spent time at. It's been a lot of fun putting together the staff. It's been a lot of fun being around the people again, seeing some familiar faces. It's been so much fun just getting back with our ownership group and being able to talk to Arthur, being able to talk to his children, his sons, all of those guys. Man, I can't say enough positive things about my time in Atlanta, my experience going away, and then having the ability to come back. I'm just really fired up to be here.
You're here at this combine, but previously you were with the Rams, where you guys didn't come to the combine.
Sure.
So why have you decided that you should be at the combine right now?
I really wanted to come to be supportive of Terry. This is the time in the offseason where the head coach gets a chance to support the GM, and I really wanted to come to be supportive of him, come in and help him, find out the roles, get the chance to see everybody and what they're going to be doing. I won't be here for the whole time, but I definitely want to come to put a support system, to be a part of it, to be a part of what's going on and how we do it. Everything doesn't have to be mimicked in what we did at the Rams. We could take some of the good ideas, some of the positive thoughts, and how we go and move in our business and use it that way, which I will, because I do think it's very important what they do at the Rams and what we did at the Rams at the time. I really have a lot of high value, high character with those guys and what they do.
Help me understand, because this is such a great place to information gather, right? You have all these guys, 300 plus prospects, all of the other GMs and half the coaches at least. What's the point in not coming? Like, why not come where there's fish in a barrel, if you will?
It's some things you got to trust your people that you work with, right? And when you work with a great group like Les Snead and what they're able to do with their scouting department and what we're able to do with our scouting department with Terry and some of the guys and the information gatherers from not just the 10-minute interviews that we get at the combine, but the years of experience that they have with these kids and being able to do those things, you got to believe your people, John. And when you do that, I think it's really allows your coaches to get ahead. It allows your people to get ahead. It allows your people to communicate at a higher level. And I really think that's the biggest part for guys that don't come. I don't look at it as a negative. I don't look at it as a knock. I look at it as just trusting the people that you have in those roles to do their jobs. It definitely is an advantage if you can come and you want to do those things and you're a people's person and want to be around some people and things of that nature. But I don't think it's a right or wrong answer when you talk about coming or not.
Tell me a little bit about your offensive coordinator, Zach Robinson, because when you got the job, you struck very quickly, made sure that Zach was going to be the offensive coordinator there. What is this offense going to look like with him calling plays?
When you go through the process and you're just talking about Zach and you're talking about what he's been through and you're talking about being with Sean McVay and being a player that played at Oklahoma State, coming into the National Football League and being a really locked in type of guy that you love and been around for the last 3 years and really develop this relationship with him. Watch him develop guys like Baker Mayfield coming in, watch him work with Matthew Stafford, watching him work with some of the younger guys and really having an interest on at some point being able to work with a great young dynamic mind that you knew, that you've seen similarity in some of the great coaches that you have been around throughout your career. So I was really fired up to get him because of some of the motion stuff that he'll apply, some of the pressure that he'll apply on people with timing and rhythm and tempo and having.
What do you mean motion?
Just the motion that we're able to do, our flight motions, our very quick motions to move people to detach coverage, to get all those things and indicators. I really love the fact that he'll bring an essence of that to us. He'll bring creativity to our offense. He'll bring the timing and the rhythm and all the things that you love about how offense is played. We sit around, we watch some really good offense in this league, and we watch people come out there and they are innovative. They are just mind-boggling at the things they're able to do nowadays with the talent that they get from this very place right here at the Combine. It is fun to be able to watch him go out there and grow into himself and be his very best version of himself when he's at the Atlanta Falcons.
So we're talking about the offense. We're talking about the Atlanta Falcons. I'm now contractually obligated to ask you about the quarterback position.
Sure.
What are you guys going to do?
We're going to explore our avenues, like we talked about in the press conference. No different, nothing has changed since that point. We're going to check on free agency. We're checking on the draft. We're checking on aggressive moves. We're checking on non-aggressive moves. We're talking about long-term plans, succession plans. Everything's in play, and how you go about your business. Obviously you can't name names. You don't know those names. You don't know those people, but you definitely got to be well aware of all scenarios that are possibly going to come up within the next couple of weeks, within the next couple of of months on how we go about our business. And I got so much trust in the people around us and the ability to gather information, whether it's the coaching staff that we're able to assemble, or whether it's the scouts that's been here, or whether it's just ownership at that point, at the highest level, that I feel really comfortable about where we're going to go and what we're going to do and plans to have a chance to get a quarterback.
Obviously, your preference is get a great quarterback, obviously. Would you prefer a great young quarterback, or would you, a two-time head coach now, prefer a great veteran quarterback?
I don't think you can lock yourself into how that goes about itself, John. I think, when you're talking about it, everybody wants a great quarterback, and you don't know how they come. They come in all forms, fashions, the shapes, everything that you can talk about. So you want to go out there and find the best quarterback that fits best with you and your people and how you're building this team, right? We got a lot of really good players on the football team: Bijan Robinson, Drake London, Kyle Pitts, and you're talking about that offensive line that we got anchored by Jake Matthews. You want to go get the best fit for your people. You want to go get the best fit for your coaches. You want to go get the best fit for our city, and you want to do all those things. Like there's nothing ruled out. And I forgot to mention trade, because all of those things come into play, and like, I know I'm all over the place with you right now, and it's good because we've really been tedious. We've really been going through the process of how we're going to acquire the best fit for us. And I know you're going to jump all over this best fit for the city thing. I can see the excitement.
Well, I mean, you said it. You said it because, help me understand. Why is that important?
That is certainly important. We're talking about our fan base. We're talking about the people that we're involved with, everything that we do. You're talking about the people that's really important to us. We're talking about the support that we got to gain from those guys in the fan base. We lean on them, we go to work in the community. All of those things are extremely important to us, and it just fits right into our Falcons ethos. That's really important to what we want to do and how we want to go about our business.
You know how that's going to play out. Best fit for the city, right?
Like, people are going to read into those words, whatever, however they do those things, and you can't stop that. Obviously, there's people that are from Atlanta. There's people that from around Atlanta. You can name the mileage of how close some of the people are, but you got to do what's best and what's right for your team at the right time. And we won't rule out anything until we got to make those decisions at that date.
Let me ask you, you brought up Kyle Pitts. How are you in this offense, in this team? How are you going to unlock his potential and get him to that next step?
It's hard to say unlock. He didn't have the year that he wanted to have last year. Whatever it was, whether it be injury, whether it's not the right space, not the nice time for him, we got to get that guy back to what he was and what he's been and what he's capable of being. And we got so much confidence on that it really fires us all up to be able to get our hands on him when that time is right. And when he has the ability to get in there and get out there and be with us and be with our coaches, be with some of the new coaches that we acquired, be with the competitive edge versus our defense and our special teams, I think that's really going to jump off the screen for him. New leadership, new people, new things around. Some of those things all help different people. And I think he'll be one of those people that benefit from that extremely.
So last question, I've been asking you all about offense lately. I got to ask you about the defense. Sure. What is the strength of this defense going to be in 2024?
I really believe that Jimmy Lake said it best when he talked about playing fast, talked about being free.
Your defensive coordinator.
Our defensive coordinator, and he talked about doing all those different things, and he talked about being physical. We like to joke with the 3 Fs. We know it's a PH on physical, but I think he really said it best when we talk about those things on defense. Like, it all starts with the fundamentals across the board, but particularly on defense. When you're talking about finishing and tackling and being able to do some of those things and being able to play fast, that means likable and learnable systems. That means coming in, being able to use what you have in place and currently locked and loaded, and then being able to add to that with some of the dynamic different ways of doing it, whether it be the draft, whether it be the trade, whether it be free agency coming up. All of those things, you can bring people in and add to what you want to do there, be able to go out there and play some really good football, and you put these guys together and get them to play situational, get them to play complementary, get them to play together. You got a team that's ready to win. And I feel really confident saying that, if we're able to do the things that we're capable of doing in the offseason.
So you guys are ready to win right now?
Every team right now is going to tell you that they want to win the Super Bowl. Every team's going to tell you right now that they want to go out and compete and be their very best self. But we are one of the few teams that if we do things the right way and we can put ourselves in position to go out there and do some long-term winning, we're capable of doing that.
There you have it. Raheem Morris, Atlanta Falcons head coach. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Fam, if y'all been rocking with me all year, y'all know I said the exact same thing that he just said. The exact same thing. Where people were talking about it takes a while to build a foundation and, we might be 2 or 3 years away. No, I've been saying this the majority of the year. This team is built to win now. It's built to win now. If you make the right decisions at offensive coordinator and not wide receiver. I don't know why wide receivers are on my brain right now, but quarterback, you're winning. That's the juxt of it. That is the long and the short of it. That's where we came up short this year. We had an offensive coordinator and head coach who thought he was smart but was football dumb as a head coach. And we had a quarterback that was way in over his head and was nowhere near ready to take a snap in the NFL. And that cost us. Can't blame the defense. Defense was leaps and bounds better than it was the previous year. Can't really blame the offensive line. Can't blame the pieces that you had on offense because, goddamn it, you didn't get them the ball. So to me, this was the crazy part about it. I predicted 10 plus wins last year going into this season. So if you get the right quarterback in there, and if Zach Robinson turns out to be the goods, fam, you in the playoffs, potentially making a deep playoff run. Nobody in the NFC South or NFC in particular scares me. Not one of these teams. Now you go over to the AFC, you might have some problems. Because you're going to have to run into that buzzsaw in Kansas City. Beat you on the road in the playoffs, no problem. Beat you at home, no problem. If it's close and Patrick Mahomes is healthy, you're done for. But in the NFC, man, I don't see none of these teams scaring me, fam. You get the right quarterback in there, and San Francisco's pretty much a wash. And if they get up off of Ayuk, they beatable. And if the players don't cost them the game, their head coach damn sure will. So who else in the NFC I'm looking at and intimidated by? Detroit? I saw Detroit get walked down in the championship game. That was an absolute embarrassment. Dallas? We know what Dallas is capable. Dallas lost to a Green Bay team, fam. The youngest team in the league they lost to. Who I'm going to be intimidated by in the NFC? That's why a guy like Raheem Morris can make a statement like that and people not look at him crazy. Because no matter what you think, the fan base, as well as people that are not fans of the Atlanta Falcons, looked at us this year and like, what the fuck happened? There was so many expectations of the Falcons last year. We ain't even talking about the fan base. We talking about people outside of the fan base. Fam, when you get Saints fans telling you, bro, y'all one quarterback away. Y'all one quarterback away from being dangerous. Saints fans. We're lions and hyenas during the regular season. We hate each other. But even they cop into it. Bro, all y'all need is a quarterback. They cop into this. So for me, I back Raheem Morris 110% when he says that. I don't think this team is 2 or 3 years away from being competitive. We should have been competitive last year. And there were a lot of games that we let walk right out the door because of absolute incompetence. So I refuse to get gaslit by statements like that. That's a loser's mentality anyway. The kid says, at least we know we're getting a new QB. Yeah. There were people commenting about Kenneth. Kenneth somewhere punching air. Desmond Ridder fans should be on suicide watch right now. If they didn't have their head in the noose before this, they have it in there now. Falcons are clearly going to get a guy. Who that guy may be, I don't know. Now, if you get a situation, let's say one of these quarterbacks fall. Let's say one of these quarterbacks fall, like a Drake. And let's just say Atlanta gets a quarterback in the free agency, gets a wide receiver in the free agency. They got the money to do it. This is why I'm not coming up off of my 8th pick. They got the draft capital to do it. But let's just say they get their quarterback and they get their wide receiver in the free agency. And let's say Drake falls. Do you get Drake at 8? There goes your future guy. He can sit his ass down for 2 years. Or 4, depending on which guy you get. But he can sit his ass down, which is what most of these quarterbacks need to do for at least a year. At least a year. So when he comes in solid. At bare minimum, he knows the playbook. You're learning underneath a guy who's been in the league for a minute. As Raheem alluded to, they got 19 guys with quarterback experience on the damn staff. RUA, man, where you been at, fam? He says, per NBC, the Falcons have emerged as front runners for quarterback Justin Fields. You know what we about to do. You know what we about to do, RUA. You know what we about to do. We about to look that up. You know what we about to do. Hold on. Okay. You know, are you coming with the facts? Coming with the facts? Hold on, let's put this up on the screen. No, a lot of channels don't do this. Falcons emerging at... God, I hate these ads! I hate these ads, bro! Falcons emerging as Bears' best Justin Fields trade partner at NFL Combine. Bears general manager Ryan Poles said he would do right by quarterback Justin Fields and trade him before free agency should Chicago decide if wanted to move on from the 24-year-old signal caller. This was the closest Poles has come to admitting what most believe is fate a combo. What the fuck? Whatever. The Bears will draft a quarterback with the number 1 overall pick, while Fields will continue his NFL career elsewhere in 2024. Should the Bears eventually land on that likely outcome, Poles' next task will be finding a suitor for the 2021 first-round selection. A quick look at the quarterback situations and draft assets around the league quickly winnows the potential landing spots to less than a handful. But one team that has always seemed like a logical next home for Fields might be positioning themselves as a leader of a small pack in the Fields trade sweepstakes, the Atlanta Falcons. You want to go get the best fit for your people. You want to get the best fit for your coaches. You want to get the best fit for our city, and you want to do all those things. Falcons head coach Raheem Morris told CBS Sports on Tuesday at the NFL Scouting Combine about Atlanta QB search. We just heard that. There's nothing ruled out. I forgot to mention trades because all of those things come into play. We've really been tedious. We've really been through the process of how we are going to acquire the best fit for us. Excuse me. Morris mentioning the best fit for the city made ears perk up elsewhere, and people immediately started to connect the dots to Fields, who is from Kennesaw, Georgia. Morris knew that that was going to make waves, but he doubled down on the importance of getting a leader for his football team that connects with the city and fan base. People are going to read into those words or whatever, however they do things, Morris said. There are people that are from Atlanta. There are people that are from around Atlanta. You can name the mileage of how close some of those people are. You got to do what's best and what's right for your team at the right time. We won't rule out anything until we've decided to make those decisions at that date. So we'll get to. I'm gonna keep this up because we're gonna get to the Terry Fontenot stuff tomorrow. So I'll be sure to just keep this on my second screen. But hey, it's interesting. You're gonna see a lot of reports like this out there, but like I said, it makes sense for Chicago to get off of Justin Fields. If you keep him, you got to extend him. And right now you're drafting at 1 and you're drafting at 9. So the smartest thing would be trade Justin Fields, get some draft capital, get your quarterback for the next four years with the ability to pick up his fifth year option, and you got him on a rookie deal, so it costs you pennies for this guy. And then take that draft capital that you get from Justin Fields, put some of that on your offense, put some of that on your defense, and start rebuilding. It just makes sense. And to a team like Atlanta, again, I don't really like giving up draft capital, but hey, if the draft capital is survivable, I have no problem with it. I'm not giving up that 8th pick. Now, if you want a 2nd rounder this year, okay. You want a 3rd rounder next year, okay. That's about all I'm gonna do. Or if you want a 2nd this year and next year, I might put you on hold for a minute. But then I have to take a look at, okay, this kid's 24 years old. We know the kid's got an arm. We know the kid can run. He's going to then you got to look at the business side of it. He's going to put asses in the seats. That's a fact. He's going to put asses in the seats. So do you get off a hold and say, you know what? I'll give you a 2 for the next 2 years and get it done? If you get it done, you're going to have to extend them. So you got to look at that too. So are you willing to give up 160 out the gate? Because you're not trading for Justin Fields for a rental. So that's what you would look at, but there's no number ones over here. There's no first rounders over here. None. I don't have that to give you. But a 2 this year and a 3 next year, I'd be willing to swing that. But honestly, I'm on the fence about giving you 2 picks. I'm on the fence about that. Because I know you don't want him. I know you don't want the boy. I give you my 2nd this year for him. Like, God damn it, I don't know, man. I'm giving your franchise QB. Really? Are you really? Because you don't want him. And I gotta extend this boy if I bring him this way. So I'm gonna give you a 2nd. What say you? God damn it, they put me on hold. Then they get back with me. Let's goddamn do it. Let's do it. Okay, bring him here. But any talk about a first, I'm hanging up the phone. Berto, what's going on, fam? What's happening? He says Fields is worth about a 2, dare I say 3rd this year, no more than that. Yeah, I can't give up no first for Fields ever. So to me, second, I give you a second and a third next year. No problem. We got draft capital. But I'm telling you this, if we go that way, you're going to have to extend them. So you're talking about 4 years with Justin Fields. So you got your quarterback for the next 4 years, right? Now we got a gun for the wide receiver. Because your window kind of gets a little smaller because you're going to pay this kid $160. But I'm gunning straight for my wide receiver after that. Now, if you're at 8, man, this becomes tricky because if you trade for Justin Fields, I say you go get a wide receiver. You go get a wide receiver in free agency also because there's plenty of them out here. And there's going to be more that come out also if a deal doesn't get done. Ayukton already told the 49ers, I come back for the right price. So he didn't already let you know y'all paying the kid because of what I do here. Without me, none of these other guys really get open because I take the top off. But to me, if you're going to go Justin in the free agency, you might as well go after your wide receiver in the free agency also. And then with that 8th pick, it's going to be tough. You know, you don't have to worry about trading up for Marvin Harrison because he ain't going to be there at 8. But in an alternate world, if Marvin Harrison falls to 8, if I'm Terry Fontenot, I'm punching the air now. But Marvin Harrison ain't making it past 5 or 6, man. That's just facts. Let me get to some of these comments, man. Atlanta Dog says Fields is the grown man version of Daniels, and they are the same age pretty much. Justin's 1 year older. Okay. Seth says, LOL, I ain't talking about no quarterback. I be talking about the middle linebacker, folk. Again, they have to address quarterback as soon as possible. And the reason why I say that is because, one, you got a first-time offensive coordinator in here. And let's look at calling plays for Justin Fields is totally different from calling plays for Kirk Cousins. Goddamn, you got to completely come up with a different scheme. So they're probably going to want to get that taken care of as soon as possible. But we'll see. But Chicago's showing their hand right now. Chicago is showing their hand. They're keeping that first. They're keeping that first. RUA says if we do trade for Fields, I do think then you start to pick up the phone for number 8 to move back. Yeah. That's an option too. But this is what makes this shit so exciting to me, man. There's so many things that you can do. And we're not in the front office, so we have no idea where they're going to go. No idea. Berto says Malachi Corley, Western Kentucky, wide receiver, 5'10", 210, incredible value in second round if we keep our 2. Dude is Debo 2.0, incredible yards after catch, and sure hands, perfect complement to Drake. Okay. All right. Hey, listen. I'm for my focus right now, quarterback, wide receiver. That's it. Because I've been saying for the majority of the year, if you get these right and the offensive coordinator right, this team is going to go as deep as it's going to go. Justin says, think about this. If the Falcons don't go after Fields, then why trade up to get Daniels? They play very similar. That is a good point. It's going to be interesting what happens, man. But listen, fam, I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. We're going to jump back on here tomorrow because we couldn't get to Terry Fontenot's interview. It was basically Raheem Morris today. So what we'll do is we'll come back and we'll get into what Terry Fontenot has to say in the combine. I mean, man, free agency is right around the corner. It's right around the corner, fam. And I think I think Atlanta's going to be one of the first teams to pull the trigger on somebody in free agency. I gotta feel as soon as it opens up. Matter of fact, in the tampering process, Atlanta might be one of the first teams that you hear about making a move. The quicker you get the quarterback situation out the way, the better. Berto says, where do you fit edge rusher in terms of need for Falcons? That would probably be once you get the quarterback and the wide receiver out the way, everything else is fair game. But I do think edge rusher needs to be at the top of your list too, because the defense did pretty good without a dominant guy. So if you can get a dominant guy in here, whoo, man, we're not that far. We're not that far. We're not that far. But if you can get a guy in here that can get to the quarterback on his own. We had, 40 plus sacks last year with no dominant guy. You get a dominant guy in here, man, but we might be talking about Sacklanta. We might be referring to this defense as Sacklanta, fam. But I'm just, man, it's been a minute, man, since Atlanta has had all the opportunity in the world to build a dominant team. Cap space, got that. Draft capital, got that. And you already got a pretty decent roster already. But the tricky part in all this is on offense and defense, you got first-time guys as coordinator. That's what makes it unknown. We have no fucking idea what this team is going to look like on the field until they get on the field. Talking about changing defenses. You're essentially changing offenses as well. We had a offense in Arthur Smith where it was, fuck it, we're going to play close into the fourth quarter and then we'll see what happens. Instead of, hey, let's just jump out on these guys, press the gas, so we don't have to worry about being in the dogfight in the fourth quarter. Fam, do you realize damn near every single game that we played this year, it was a dogfight, no matter who we played. Every game was a rerun. Basically, you can literally fall asleep for 3 quarters and wake up in the fourth quarter. It's the same thing that happened the previous week. And you can predict it for the next week. That, to me, isn't a good offense. So, Berto says, what time tomorrow? It's 7:32. We started at 5. It'll probably be about 8-ish, 8:30. Because I got some stuff I got to take care of tomorrow. So I should be home around 7:30. Your boy gotta get some snacks in his system before I jump on here. So it'll probably be let's say 8:30. Let's say 8:30 we get on here and we chop up good game. But with that being said and done, fam, I gotta get out of here. My father's calling me like I owe him money. But I appreciate everybody in the chat, man. Y'all did your thing as usual. Everybody that watched. For people that'll watch this a little bit later, man, I appreciate you guys. And shout out to Justin, man, for being a new subscriber, man. I appreciate that. But With that being said and done, your boy is up out of here. I will holler at you guys tomorrow at around 8:30. Peace.